kitchen. Today we're gonna make a delicious chicken in a sour cream based sauce. This chicken is so delicious that the flavors are gonna explode in your mouth. And I'm sure your family is gonna love it so much that you're gonna be adding it to your weekly menu. Let's get started with the recipe. I worked ahead and sliced 4 chicken breasts into 4-inch slices like these. We're gonna season these with black pepper, salt, ground cumin, chili powder, and Mexican oregano. But before we season them, I'm gonna drizzle the chicken with a little bit of olive oil. This is gonna help the seasoning stick better to the chicken. Mixing the seasonings together, then we're gonna sprinkle it over the chicken. Make sure to move the pieces around as you're adding in the seasoning to ensure that all pieces are well coated with the seasoning. Set it aside while we set up the burner to heat up our oil. I'm going to be using olive oil, but you can use whichever one you prefer. Once the oil is nice and hot, we're going to add in the chicken and we're going to cook the chicken for about a minute on each side or until it has a nice sear. This is not going to completely cook the chicken because it's going to continue to cook in the sauce later on. So don't be too concerned if it doesn't cook all the way through. You just want it to have a nice sear because that's what's going to seal in the flavor of all the seasonings. After 5 to 7 minutes, we're going to remove the chicken and set it aside. And we're going to take advantage of all those delicious seasonings that rendered from the chicken. And we're going to use the same pan to saute our vegetables. But before we add the vegetables, I'm also going to melt in 2 tablespoons of butter. Once the butter is nice and melted, we're going to add 1 red bell pepper, half a white onion, and 3 garlic cloves minced. Saute for about a minute over medium heat or until the onion and the garlic are nice and fragrant. Then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour and 3 roasted peeled and diced Poblano peppers. If you want to add a little bit of spice, you can substitute the Poblano peppers for jalapenos or chile serrano. Look at that. That looks delicious already. And we're going to add 4 cups of the chicken broth. Before it starts to heat up, I'm going to add in the Crema Mexicana. I set aside a little bit of the broth so we can get the remainder of the residue that's stuck inside of the jar. I'm going to give it a good shake and then I'm going to add it to the pan as well. I'm going to mix it and we're going to bring to a simmer. It hasn't reached a simmer yet. It's barely starting to reach a simmer, but I'm gonna go ahead and add the chicken so it can continue to cook. When I make something that they absolutely love, we never have leftovers. This is one of those dishes. And look at all that broth that rendered from the chicken as it was resting. I'm just gonna pour it in there too. Okay, and now we just wait for it to boil and then we'll do the taste test once again. And you can even add fresh spinach in here. I mean, you can add whatever vegetables you have on hand and make it your own creation. Okay, I'm gonna cover it for about 5 minutes and then we'll come back and check on it. See you in a bit. Okay guys, so this has been boiling for about 5 minutes. Now I'm gonna taste it to see if it needs additional salt. Now keep in mind that we used the chicken broth, which is already salted, and so is the Crema Mexicana. So we might not even need it, but you know, taste it, and if it does need it, you can add a little bit. And I think it tastes perfectly fine like this, so I'm not going to add any additional salt or chicken bouillon. So at this point, we're just going to cover it and we're going to turn it down to low for about 10 to 15 minutes or until it has a nice thickness to it. This has been boiling for about 10 to 12 minutes and it still hasn't reached a light thickness like I want it to. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of cornstarch diluted in water and I'm going to boil for an additional 5 to 7 minutes or until it reaches a light thickness. Okay, so I got my pasta. I got my pasta going back there because my husband wants it with pasta. I'm gonna have it with a little bit of leftover rice that we had from yesterday's dinner, so can't wait. I'm chopping a small handful of cilantro to garnish our dish. You can also use parsley if you don't care for cilantro. At this point, it has a nice thickness. So we're gonna turn it off. I'm gonna garnish with cilantro. And now for our favorite part, the taste test. I'm gonna cover this so it can stay nice and warm for when the kids get home from school. And we're gonna chomp. Ready, babe?
Starting without me.
Oh, I was just cutting the chicken. Go ahead, I'll watch you.
Actually, let me cut a little bit of the chicken. Ooh, it's nice. Look at that, it's so tender. Ooh. Let me do this. Look at that. Ooh. I gotta try it.
I know. Go for it. Try the sauce. The sauce is really good. And I made it nice and saucy so you can add more sauce if you want.
Oh man, that chicken is good. It has a lot of nice flavor to it.
What do you think of the sauce? It's good?
And it's just, look at that. So moist. It's juicy.